Melody Farris is accused of murdering her husband, Gary Farris. She's facing 3 charges: murder with malice, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and concealing the death of another. On July 5th, 2018, Farris's son discovered his father's remains on a burn pile on the family property. Gary Farris was 58 years old and was a prominent attorney. He founded the Atlanta office for the regional law firm Burr and Foreman. Gary and Melody had a strained relationship, and although married for decades, they slept on different floors of their home, and she was having an affair. WXIA was at Farris's preliminary hearing.
They would meet at a hotel in Dalton, spend the day together, and then both drive back home.
The night before Farris's remains were found, Melody Farris told her boyfriend her estranged husband's body was on a burn pile.
He is on the burn pile. Rusty said in response, he said, "What?" She again said, "He is on the burn pile."
Melody Farris was arrested almost a year later in Tennessee. Investigators determined Gary died of a gunshot wound. They found a bullet in Farris's ribs. They had also found droplets of Gary's blood all over the home. Melody's attorney spoke to WXIA.
And there are a lot of things that are missing, and there are a lot of things, frankly, they didn't find. I believe, just like she told me when I first met her, she's 100% innocent of these charges.
Some of Melody's own children have publicly said they don't believe her.
How about this case out of Georgia? Today was day 1 in the trial. You had opening statements and things getting underway here. Let's take a look.
You do not have to ask yourself, was Gary murdered? He was. You do not have to ask yourself, was Gary Farris burned on a burn pile? He was. The question you have to ask is, who did this? The evidence demands an answer, and the answer is close. It's close to me. It's close to you. It was close to Gary. You see Gary is in this picture, and this is a happy time. This is Emily, the bride in the middle, a daughter. Unfortunately for this family is they have drama. They are not a perfect family. The defendant, she liked the life of being married to a rich lawyer. One thing with lawyers, the longer they do it, the longer they get better at it, the more they get better at it, and they stay at it. But sometimes what they do is they don't interact with, because they interact with people all day long. Oftentimes when they get home, they get close, they get small. And Gary's like that. In their wedding, their marriage, they had some issues that we're going to talk about. And it looks like they were happy here. This is about 2016, but there was a lot going on behind the scenes. How do you get away with a murder if there's no confession? How do you get away with a murder if there's no video of it? How do you get away with a murder if you try to burn and destroy all the evidence? You don't. When you use your common sense and all the evidence to put it together to shrink the world, and the only reasonable answer is she did it. The reason why you shrunk the world down, and you will see at the times in this case, when he was killed and when his body was moved, when things are going on, the only person that's going to be at that house, the only person is her. No one else. Just her.
Everything that was done in this case was tailored specifically to attempt to convict Melody of the death of Gary Farris. One big thing you're going to hear, and you're going to hear it a lot, is Scott Farris. You are going to hear the 911 call here shortly. That's the first thing we're going to do. I'm going to play you the 911 call. 13 minutes after law enforcement arrives, Scott Farris is already blaming his mother. He knows nothing. They're not even sure if there is a body on the burn pile. They're not even sure it's Gary. He's already planting the seeds of blaming his mother. 13 minutes. And law enforcement took that into their beliefs. And then they focused their evidence on that. And that is confirmation bias. She lived upstairs. Gary lived downstairs. It was just how they had done it. It had always been that way for years, ever since the 90s. They lived 2 separate lives. They would sometimes go days without even seeing each other, without speaking to each other. They didn't really talk, didn't really communicate. They did, they had kids. So they did some of these family things together, but for the most part, they were just married people who did their own thing. Where was he shot in the house? The evidence is going to show while there may be some blood, and that was not tested, so we'll call it maybe blood. Upstairs in the living in Melody's portion of the house, we'll call it, and a trail leading downstairs to Gary's portion, we'll call it. You're also going to get evidence from, most likely from Amanda, how a few days before that Gary had been bitten by one of Melody's dogs on the ankle and was bleeding as he walked down the stairs down to his room so that he could stop the bleeding in his ankle. And that's where the blood came from. Where is the gun? Don't know that either. Where are the bullets? They're in Scott's house.
All right, Jennifer Brandt, 38 years together. Do they sound like clients of yours, living separate lives since the 90s? Like
100%, Vinny. It happens all the time. So I'm not surprised or shocked by this at all. There are many, many couples out there that live like this, separate in the same household for many, many years before they ever decide to get divorced. So it's not so uncommon, and it doesn't mean necessarily that she killed him just for that fact alone.
Well, I want to get into that. Does it, like, if you're able to live a separate life, does that make it less of a motive to commit the murder if you're already sort of separate but together? You don't have to go to court. You don't have to split everything in half. I'm wondering, what is...
Well, here's the thing, Vinny. When the problems usually occur when it's about money. Something happens financially between the two of them. You know, there was someone talking about an extramarital affair, but in this situation, I don't know how much that would impact anything because they were already living separately. But if there's anything financial, someone... You know, the husband was deciding maybe that he didn't want to pay all the bills or support her anymore because it seemed like he was the breadwinner. It didn't seem like she was working. So that could cause some tension. That could upset her. That could upset their situation and maybe cause her to act in a certain way. So I'm sure that some of that will be explored in this case. What's really sad, Vinny, is that their own son, you know, is the one that is allegedly calling out his mother right away, if you believe the defense, and saying, you know, that she had something to do with it. So there was real tension in this family, amongst the children, amongst the parties. A bad situation, common in my world, but, you know, nonetheless, who knows, you know, what exploded and what could have happened. We'll find out.
Al, do you think, it almost sounded to me like the defense is going to, like, sort of, hey, we should be taking a look at the son here.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. It sounds to me like that's the situation, that you're saying, well, wait a minute, you know, he thinks he doth protest too quickly. Okay, we didn't even know whose body was on that pile. We didn't know that it was the father. We didn't know this, we didn't know that. And all of a sudden he's got the finger pointed at mom. And therefore, the motive is going to be inheritance. Okay, that would be the situation on that, because if something happened to him, it would go to the wife. The wife's not there. She killed him. Therefore, it would be divided up amongst the kids. That may be the defense. I think it's kind of a weak defense. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's not the kind of defense you'd be doing if you're talking about the dog biting your ankle and there's a little driblets of blood coming down the steps because of a dog bite. Okay, so I don't know where the defense is going with this. I wasn't particularly happy with either opening, to be quite candid with you. I didn't really, you know, whenever the prosecution starts with, and guess what, you know, so-and-so is not going to come walking through that door. I mean, I always hate that opening line. And this guy was like so prominent with it in the beginning of his you know, opening, that it just really just turned me off at that point.
Lack of a murder weapon here, Philip Dubé. Is that going to loom large?
No, they don't need it. You know why? They have a bullet lodged in his rib cage. It's not that hard to, you know, do a one and done it and get rid of the gun. That's not uncommon at all. What she has going against her, unfortunately, is Georgia law. And maybe Jennifer can weigh in on this. Georgia is one of the few states, Vinny, in family law where if you get a divorce due to infidelity, And I think there's a factual development coming that she was having an affair with a Roy Barton out of Tennessee. That would significantly reduce her portion of the marital assets, the equitable distribution under Georgia law. It would not be a 50-50 split. And perhaps she was afraid that if she just filed for divorce, she wasn't going to get her cut, that a family law judge could maybe give her 20% or 25% for being the impetus behind the divorce, based on a form of what I call archaic misconduct. I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's Georgia law. You know, but no, I don't think they need the weapon itself because they have proof that he was shot in the ribs.
38 years together, Jennifer. 38 years. And it seems for at least 30 of them, they're living separate lives. I don't understand.
Oh, Vinny, this is not uncommon. As I said before, I mean, people are married even longer than that and are getting divorced. It's great divorce. You hear it all the time. It's probably the most prominent amount of people that are getting divorced once they reach that mark or even beyond that. So
wow,
not unusual. Oh. Not unusual.
All right.
Manslaughter's only 15.
There you go.
Not with a gun. Not with a gun, my man.
Al Wunsch, Philip Dubé, Jennifer Brandt, thank you all so much. Great to have you. When we come back, I'll reveal something else you need to know tonight. Plus, coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, the trial of Leilani Simon is about to begin. The young Georgia mom accused of the murder of her 20-month-old son, Quentin. What happened to this little angel? We investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, coming up next, only on Court TV.
You saying you can't recall what happened that night. If you were me, would you believe you?
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know today. Let's take a look at the big board, and that's Diddy's mother speaking out. You're wondering, like, who's going to speak up for Diddy? Since this whole thing broke, we haven't really heard the pro-Diddy folks coming out and speaking. Well, here's a letter penned by Diddy's mom. I come to you today as a mother that is devastated and profoundly saddened by the allegations made against my son, Sean Combs. It is heartbreaking to see my son judged not for the truth, but for a narrative created out of lies, to bear witness to what seems to be like a public lynching of my son before he has had the opportunity to prove his innocence is a pain too unbearable to put into words. He has made mistakes in the past, as we all have. My son may not have been entirely truthful about certain things, such as denying he has ever gotten violent with his ex-girlfriend when the hotel surveillance showed otherwise. Many individuals who were wrongfully convicted and later exonerated had their freedom taken from them, not because they were guilty of the crimes they were accused of, but because they didn't fit the image of what society considers to be a good person. So Mom speaking out. When there's a development, we bring it to you. Right now, though, I need you to take a look at the screens because there's a child who needs your help tonight. This is Jaquan Lyons, just 16 years old, missing out of Windsor Mill, Maryland since October 1st. If you see Jaquan, pick up the phone, make the call. You can call 911. 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Baltimore County Police Department in Maryland. That phone number's on the screen. Make the call, make a difference. Let's see if we can get Jaquan to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We've got another hour of live true crime coming up. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.